Welcome to RaceView Network Live. I'm Jim Byers along with Keith Stallborys, and let's preview the richest horse race in Texas, the $1 million Texas Classic Futurity. It takes place this coming Saturday, November 28th, at Lone Star Park in Grand Prairie. It's a Grade 1, 400 yards for 2-year-olds, and it's the traditional closing night feature at Lone Star Park, and it is not the only race of consequence on the card coming up on Saturday night. We also have the Grade 1 Texas Classic Derby, $393,000 in the purse for that one. The Paragon Oaks, and also a race that's been added, the Lone Star 870 Battle of the Breeds. And speaking of that Texas Classic Derby, we promoted that here on RaceView Network Live last night. The filly Kiss My Astica will take on seasoned veterans like Just Smokin' Hot and KJ Mucho Macho Man in that Derby. That'll be the supporting feature behind the Texas Classic Futurity coming up this Saturday, the 28th. Now, as for the race, as we mentioned, 2-year-olds, 400 yards. There were 15 trials for this back on the 8th of November. It all boiled down to the 10 fastest. And here's Keith with the field.
All right, thanks, Jim. We have a nice-looking field here with a few big standouts, so let's take a look. Here we go. Breaking from the one hole will be Sir Prince Knockout, owned by Javier Ramirez, Martin Trejo, the trainer, and Manuel Gutierrez will ride this first-time Futurity finalist. The 2 is Jess Arrogant, owned by Ruse Ranch, Santiago Riojas, the conditioner, Nestor Duran in the saddle, another first-time qualifier to a Futurity. The 3 is Big Eagle Gone, owned by Rashwan Suarez. Eddie Sanchez has the call from trainer Luis Sanchez III. He won his trial, which was his first career start, by a length and a 3/4 and set the second fastest time of the day. The 4-horse is Instygator, owned by Jose Guzman, Santos Carrizales Sr., the trainer. Instygator will be ridden by James Flores. He finished second in the All-American Futurity and third in the Heritage Place Futurity, both Grade 1 events. The 5-horse is Watch Him Be Famous, owned by Pete Scarmato, Leon Bard, the conditioner. Pedro Espinoza will be in the irons. He finished 6th in the Ruidoso Juvenile. The 6 is Dash and Leader, again trained by Leon Bard for owner Pete Scarmato. Jose Vega will ride. Dash and Leader finished 6th in the TQHA Sale Futurity, a Grade 3 stakes. The 7 is Jess on the Run. Rolando Amanda trains for owner Julian Gamez. Ricardo Garza Cruz is the reinsman on Jess on the Run, who is a first-time Futurity finalist. The 8-horse is Steal the Candy, owned by MRB Racing LLC, trained by Tony Cedillo. Juan Rivas will ride Steal the Candy, who finished 8th in the Ruidoso Juvenile. The 9-horse is Dulce Sin Tacha, trained by Heath Taylor for owners Bob and Jerry Gaston. Rodrigo Vallejo, the jockey on Dulce Sin Tacha, who finished 2nd in the All-American Juvenile. Rounding out the field is Jez Flying, the 10-horse, John Steinbow, the conditioner, Garland Shelton, the owner, and Francisco Calderon will guide this first-time Futurity qualifier. Back to you, Jim.
All right, thanks a lot, Keith. Couple of notes about those trials. Instygator had the fastest time, and a couple of runners tied for 6th. And those were Dash and Leader and Dulce Sin Tacha. Speaking of Dulce Sin Tacha, one of the best horses back in the early 2000s was Streakin' Sin Tacha, Horse of the Year, Co-Horse of the Year, Co-World Champion from the AQHA back in 2002. Now, Streakin' Sin Tacha is related to Dulce Sin Tacha. Stay with me here. You have to go pretty far up Dulce Sin Tacha's pedigree. You have to go to his great-grandmother, but Dulce Sin Tacha's great-grandmother is the same mare that produced Streakin' Sin Tacha. So there's a connection there. The legendary co-world champion, sort of a great uncle, if you will, to Dulce Sin Tacha. Now, it remains to be seen if the youngster can ever match his illustrious predecessor's accomplishments on the racetrack, but there's no doubt that Dulce Sin Tacha has some talent. Dulce Sin Tacha is a neck shy of being 5 for 5, with his only setback a 2nd in the All-American Juvenile. The Just Good Candy Colt gave that race's winner, I Work For You, all he could handle. In the trial for this, he showed aggressive speed and led at every call to dispatch his rivals by a length and a half under regular rider Rodrigo Vallejo. Dulce Sin Tacha enters the Texas Classic Futurity as the 5-1 third choice, and he's trained by Heath Taylor.
And speaking of Heath Taylor, we should have him with us here. Heath, we're going to you, and you are up. How you doing this evening?
Doing well. Thank you, sir. How are you?
Heath, thanks so much for joining us. Jim Byers here. Your colt has faced 44 horses in his still relatively brief career. He has finished in front of 43 of them. You can't ask for much more than that. His only loss was that close second in one of the toughest races to make, the All-American Juvenile. It seems like everything is primed for him to step into Grade 1 company. How confident are you that he can handle this move?
You know, fairly confident, obviously very respectful to the other qualifiers with some really good standouts in there. The horse in the race that he did face a defeat, he got beat obviously by a quality Grade 1 winner. I Work For You had already won the Grade 1 Remington Futurity and came back 10, 12 days ago and won the Black Gold Championship for colts and geldings and beat a nice bit of horses. Also in that race, and it's certainly you've got to tip your hat to the winner. This horse, he bobbled leaving the gate at Ruidoso, bumped the outside horse, came back in and bumped the inside horse and pulled the front shoes off right there in front of the gate. So he ran 440 yards without the front shoes in that defeat. Certainly not making an excuse that it would have made a difference in the race, but obviously it didn't help, and he got beat by a quality runner. So we're very cautiously optimistic. He's got the class, the breeding, the looks, the size. But as you well said, there's a couple standouts in there, and it's going to take someone to have to step up and take it from them because they have good connections and they're really good horses.
Let's talk a little bit about your Colts trial. The time was certainly fast enough to get inside the top 10, no questioning that. It wasn't one of the top 5 times, but it was still very, very good. But what was impressive about his trial for me was just it was so visually impressive, and the way he finished, the finishing margin. As you were watching this trial and even an analysis after the fact, what were your thoughts on that performance from the 8th?
Well, I was the same as you. I mean, visually, I thought it was extremely impressive. I thought the time would be actually a lot faster. However, main thing was to get in. I thought that the biggest thing about his trial to me was, one, he rode the horse extremely conservative. To have 15 trials, he let the horse run well within himself. The horse wasn't crowded, and the ease of how he did it, the horse. Basically, by the time they took the picture and he got to the test barn, he was already cooled out and playing. So the thing that impressed me is the trial didn't stress the horse any, and the ease of what he did it. Now, like you said, visually, it was impressive, but he didn't ask very much of the horse in the trial.
You know, I went on that rather lengthy dissertation on the line of Sin Tacha's leading up to Streakin' Sin Tacha, but what I thought was interesting was you trained Dulce Sin Tacha's grandmother, Miss Sin Tacha. Not only did you train her, but she ran third in the Heritage Place Futurity in 08, and you trained the first 2 finishers in that one. What do you remember about his grandmother?
You know, she was super talented filly. In fact, that's when Remington first started doing the 5 qualifiers each day, and she had the fastest time in one of the first days as a non-starter. Very precocious filly. I wouldn't have been surprised at the time of the finals when we were humbly, like you said, ran first, second, third in the $1 Million Heritage. I wouldn't have, at that time, that was when I first got Stoley's winner, and before he went on to have a world champion campaign, and I had her all winter, and I knew how fast she was. So she was really talented. She was really fast right from the start.
And going back to her and continuing on down to a mare that she produced, who then produced Dulce Sin Tacha, who's in the Texas Classic Futurity, all Bob and Jerry Gaston homebreds. And so what's it like to have a nice horse in a race of this magnitude for them?
You know, it means a lot. They've bred some tremendous horses. I've had some nice horses for them in the past. Corona's Leaving You, we raced and sold for a stallion, and a filly called First Cool Baby, a first down Nash out of Cool Q Baby. So I've trained for them for years and years and years, and they've stuck with me through some good times, and they've stuck with me through some difficult times. So having had the family of horses and also having such a long relationship with them, it would mean a little bit more if we could somehow get something done in here. It would mean a lot more to them. They really enjoy their horses. They raise the horses, foal them out, extremely hands-on. They don't raise a large number of horses, but they've raised Rusty's Miracle, that won the All-American Derby, Valiant Little Lady that won the Texas Classic. So they've been very successful with a limited number of mares, and it means a lot to them to how these horses perform.
And one last question, can't let you get away without asking about the draw, post position 9. Are you okay with that?
I think so. I think especially as it got some rain last night and it's cooled off. And, you always, what you worry about as a quarter horse trainer, as long as there's not a track bias, obviously you can ask for is an even shot. And I think the 9-1 from the outside is a big, long striding, strong finishing horse. It should be as good as any other post. Maybe would have liked to have been right beside Instygator or Big Eagle Gone if possible because of their visual impressiveness. My horse is, I think he's not as scared of a fight, and he likes a target to run at. So I think being drawn outside those two, I think that it'll serve well for post position. Yes, sir.
Well, we certainly thank you for spending some time with us here tonight, and congratulations on getting him in there, and best of luck in the race coming up on Saturday.
Thank you, Alan. Thanks for having me, and happy holiday.
Thanks. Same to you. Heath Taylor joining us here, trainer of Dulce Sin Tacha. Well, 8 of the 10 Texas Classic Futurity finalists earned their way to the race by winning their trial. A pair of them earned a top 10 clocking by running second, and one of those did it in fairly spectacular fashion, Sir Prince Knockout. He drew the outside in a trial featuring the fastest qualifier, Instygator. While that one pours it on early up front, Sir Prince Knockout keeps motoring on and actually gains about a half length over the final 100 yards to finish a strong second. His 3 career starts are the second fewest in the race. He's trained by Martin Trejo. Here's an upsetter in trial 14, Jez Flying. Most eyes were on Grade 1 winner Shotgun, but Jez Flying has none of that, packing a late punch to record the 5th fastest time with Shotgun second. The Colorado-bred gelding by Just Good Candy had trouble in 3 major trials at Ruidoso, but qualifies here with a clear trip for trainer John Steinbow. He has the 10-hole on Saturday. The light gray Jess Arrogant should be easy to spot on Saturday. He's the only gray in the field, and just as in this good trial win, he'll have post 2. In this early trial that day, he overhauls fellow qualifier Dashin' Leader in the green to win by a neck in the 4th best clocking. Trainer Santiago Riojas will saddle him for the first time on Saturday. He'll be the California bred's 3rd trainer. Now, aside from Instygator, who is the morning line favorite, only one other Texas Classic Futurity finalist has ever taken part in a graded race, and those were a pair of restricted graded races for one horse, Dashin' Leader. He looked like he might go straight to the winner's circle in this first try at 400 yards, but Dashin' Leader is caught late by Jess Arrogant. Still, Dashin' Leader runs a big race to qualify. Bred and owned by Pete Scarmardo, who has 2 Futurity finalists, Dashin' Leader made the restricted graded TQHA Sires Cup and Sale Futurities this summer. Leon Bard trains. A handful of Futurity winners came from other tracks. Futurity winners like Shotgun, OJD Chavella J, and He's Innocent. They came for the trials but failed to get into the final. But that did open things up for some newcomers. And the most intriguing of those newcomers is Big Eagle Gone. The 15th and final trial was worth the wait as this Arkansas-bred colt by One Fabulous Eagle finishes powerfully to debut a winner, in the process walloping this group by nearly 2 lengths in the 2nd fastest time. Ridden by Eddie Sanchez for his brother, trainer Jose Luis Sanchez III, Big Eagle Gone was a $34,000 Ruidoso Select Yearling Sale purchase. That leads us up to the only horse in the field that's been in open graded company this year. And he's been to a pair of them, and they're two of the biggies. He's the unquestioned star of the race going in, Instygator. He's a 4-time winner from 6 career starts with strong efforts in 2 major Grade 1s. The first of those came at Remington Park in the spring when he ran a competitive third in the Heritage Place Futurity. The winner here, the Gray Shotgun, happens to be Instigator's half-brother. Then, in the $3 million All-American Futurity, he works hard all the way, chasing likely champion Whistle Stop Cafe. Instygator is second to the undefeated filly by a neck. With nearly $580,000 already in his bankroll, he rolled into the Texas Classic Futurity Trials an overwhelming favorite and did not disappoint, flashing to a commanding lead and holding off a vastly improved Sir Prince Knockout by a half length in the fastest time. Instygator is a Texas-bred gelding by Ivory James. It's a bit of a family affair training Instygator. Santos Carrizales Sr. and his sons share in the training duties, and Santos Sr., the former jockey, talks about his horse's attributes.
He's good, you know. Man, he's fast. He's fast, you know. He needs to mature a little bit, you know, because he has done a little bit mistakes, you know, and have cost us, you know. Like he did on the All-American and the Heritage, you know. Then little, you know, things in and out, you know, have cost him the race, and he ran pretty good, you know. James, you know, I think figured him out. I hope he, you know, he had figured him out.
Reigning champion AQHA jockey James Flores is the regular rider for Instygator. He has the call again with him on Saturday. Flores has ridden Instygator in all but one of his 6 career starts, and he had a chance to chat with us.
It was a good trip. The horse ran a good race, run under his own wheel, his own power. The horse, his last couple of outs that I rode him, he made a few mistakes, but I just did my best to guide the horse, keep him straight, and he ran a really good trial, and I could tell he was moving fairly quick. I like the way the horse is feeling. He's been training real good, and he seems to have matured, and he's taking every step in the right direction going into this race. So I'm real excited about this horse, and I'm real confident in him. So this is a big race. This is one that I've been dreaming of winning. You know, I've always wanted to win the Texas Classic, and I think, you know, this might be my ticket. But we'll see. I mean, everything's got to come into play, and just need some racing luck. I think I got the horse to do it, but we just need everything to fall into place and hopefully be in the winner's circle on Saturday.
Jockey James Flores speaking about Instygator. A couple of necks go the other way. He's finished second by a neck in one big race, third by a neck in the other. Otherwise, he's won them all, or he could be the undefeated one rather than Whistle Stop Cafe. But that filly who won the All-American has been brilliant, and Instygator is not too far behind her in the latest poll of AQHA 2-year-olds. And now Instygator, with James Flores aboard, will head into this coming Saturday's $1 million Texas Classic Futurity, that Grade 1 event, to wrap up the meet at Lone Star Park. And he's drawn a good post position. He's in post position 4. That should suit him well. He's got Big Eagle Gone, who was that impressive trial winner, Keith, just to his inside. As Heath Taylor mentioned, Dulce Sin Tacha drawn toward the outside, and sometimes when they get out there separated from the others, they can't see their competition as well. And I think that's one thing that helps Sir Prince Knockout in the race with Instygator in the trial is Instygator was out ahead of him, but Sir Prince Knockout could, I would imagine, see him. I mean, they were lined up against each other at the start. There's a little bit of separation once they got going. So we'll see how the tactics play out, but sometimes these 2-year-olds, they can be a little restless in the gate. Sometimes they don't get away well, and we'll see who has the best racing luck coming up on Saturday.
Well, one thing that is also good about those two being separated is, like we saw with the Derby trial, with Trump My Record and ratification, if something happens, and I've likened it before to the president and the vice president don't take the same plane to an event. You don't want to have the most important people together. And if one gets knocked out, and ratification literally got knocked in to trump my record. So it's nice to have these two totally separate. So if anything does go wrong, maybe it'll just stay segregated to the horses that are having the trouble, or and maybe these two can still get out and run their races. So that's my thoughts on that scenario.
Yeah. Fascinating race, though. I mean, we do have some horses that are more lightly raced in the field. Sir Prince Knockout down on the inside had broken his maiden at Delta Downs, but really hadn't showed a whole lot other than that. But he just ran on a monster trial. Big Eagle Gone comes from obscurity to go out and win his trial. It was extremely visually impressive. And, of course, Instygator, we know all about him. He's by far the most known quantity. And you know, Leon Bard, the trainer, has a couple in there. As we take a look at Big Eagle Gone's trials, very last race of the day, and sometimes you get up to that point on the card and you're thinking, well, one more trial, one more chance to move the bubble, and here comes his first-time starter who was 17-1 in that race, who just absolutely obliterated them. We'll see if he can take that next step. It's not easy to go ahead and put two efforts like that back-to-back, but he came out and did the first one. His ceiling could be extremely high.
He's an unknown quantity, but he's really intriguing, and to be able to step up here in your very first race and did what that horse did with the second fastest time of the day, and we may have a star in the making, and he's going to really burst onto the stage on Saturday.
One final note, the outside three horses, Steal the Candy, Dulce Sin Tacha, Jez Flying, all sons of the great Jess Good Candy, who wasn't that many years ago, 2015. He was a champion 2-year-old, and he retired 8 for 8 undefeated. So it'll be interesting to see how his progeny do, as he has 3 of them lined straight up on the outside in posts 8, 9, and 10. Well, once again, coming up on Saturday, it is closing night of the Lone Star Park meet coming up on November 28th. Not only the richest horse race in Texas, the Grade 1 $1 million Texas Classic Futurity, but also the Grade 1 Texas Classic Derby. Some really nice 3-year-olds in that one. Good fillies in the Paragon Oaks, with the winner to receive a breeding to Flying Cowboy 1, 2, 3, who knows a little thing about winning Texas Classic races. And that Battle of the Breeds, the 870 race, is going to be really interesting. In the trials, the thoroughbreds, the better thoroughbreds pretty much had to settle for second. The quarter horses got out there and led every jump. We'll see if that happens in the final. Good card, 12 races, 6:05 the first post time coming up on Sunday to wrap up the fall meeting at Lone Star Park at Grand Prairie. Well, that will wrap up our program as well. For Keith Stallboys, I'm Jim Byers. Keith, any parting thoughts as we say goodnight?
This has been a fun season of doing some live stuff here on RaceView Network, and hope to bring a lot more of it to you through, especially coming up next year. Hopefully we'll have some restrictions eased as we get out of the pandemic weirdness, but and see a lot more racing and bring a lot more to you on RaceView Network. So it's been great, and if you get a chance, come out to Lone Star Park here on Saturday night, a big night of racing with some really nice horses.
No doubt about it. It certainly has been a pleasure bringing this to you, this series during the Lone Star meeting. And like Keith says, best of luck. Hope you can enjoy the races this Saturday via television or in person. And until then, good night and thanks for watching.